What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be getting into my NCAA tournament bracketology here, March 14th edition. We're going to go back here. Yesterday we did CBS bracketology with Jerry Palm. Today we're going to go back to Joe Lundardi's. We'll probably go for a different one tomorrow, but let's just go with Joe Lundardi's today. And obviously today is the big games coming up for all of these bubble teams and really a lot of the big teams as well. I think like all of the major teams are playing, except for maybe like the top seeds in the Big Ten. So obviously it's a big week for a lot of these teams, or big day for a lot of these teams. But anyway, let's take a look at the bracket watch here. Top overall seed is Purdue. They don't have a game today, but still looking to be on the top overall seed. Then we have the first team out, Texas A&M, and last team in Indiana State. Obviously, Indiana State is done with their games. Texas A&M, I'm not sure if they're still alive. I believe they're still alive in their SEC tournament. Let's just take a look down here. Yeah, I don't see them, so maybe they're out. No, they play today against Ole Miss today. Big game for Texas A&M. All right, but now let's take a look at the bubble. Last four byes, we got Oklahoma State obviously losing today. Or yesterday to TCU. Michigan State having their big game in the Big Ten tournament. Seton Hall versus St. John's, just right across from each other, are matching up today. Then Mississippi State, who's got their game versus LSU. Last for him, we got Colorado playing Utah today. Utah's probably on the next four out at this point. Then Virginia, who is playing Clemson, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. No, they're going to play Boston College because Clemson lost yesterday. So Virginia got to beat Boston College, which isn't going to be as big of a quality win. So if they lose that game, that'll be a big-time loss for them. Then we have St. John's obviously playing Seton Hall and Indiana State. First for out, Texas A&M. As we mentioned, Wake Forest. They're alive playing Pitt, who's right there. That's a massive game for both those teams. Then we got New Mexico, who I believe won yesterday. Yeah, they beat Air Force, so they play Boise State in a massive matchup today. And then Villanova, who just barely survives yesterday to DePaul, they got to meet up against Creighton. They cannot play like that. DePaul's the worst team in the Big East with only like one win. They got to get a win. Then obviously Pittsburgh, Kansas State, who has a game this week against. Did they play yesterday? Let's take a look here. They played Texas and won in a big one. So now they need to beat Iowa State. That's going to be tough. And then we got Providence, who still needs to go on a run, and then Iowa. Both teams need to win a couple games. All right, a little bit of a longer start. But anyway, let's get into the movement here. Not a whole lot to speak of from yesterday. But we do have Purdue as the number one seed. No other movement in the Midwest. Nebraska is going to be coming up to an 8 seed. Texas falls to a 9 after losing to Kansas State. Also, Oklahoma is falling to a 10 after losing to TCU. In the South region, we got Houston as the number one seed. Colorado State jumping up to a 9 seed there. Then we got TCU jumping up to a 9, obviously after beating Oklahoma. St. Mary's jumping up to a 6 after beating Gonzaga. All right, guys, let's get into the predictions now, though. Starting out with, we'll go for the first 4. We got Colorado taking on Virginia. Give me Colorado in that one. This will be a big day for both those teams to prove if I'm right on them. Not the biggest believer in Virginia, more of a believer in Colorado at this point. Then I like Norfolk State to beat Grambling State. Give me Indiana State to beat St. John's. And then Stetson, I think, beats Wagner. All right, for the round of 64, give me Purdue to beat Norfolk State. Boise State, I think, would handle business against Florida Atlantic. Give me Nevada to beat Richmond. Auburn, I think, would beat Charleston. Then I'm going to go to the 11/6 upset here. Give me James Madison, the Dukes, to upset the Cougars of Washington State. That would be a great matchup in the NCAA tournament. Then I like Iowa State to beat Oakland. Florida, I think, would hold off Michigan State. And Marquette would beat Quinnipiac. All right, Tennessee versus Stetson. Give me Tennessee. TCU, I think, pulls off the win over Dayton. BYU, I think, will beat South Florida, as well as Illinois pulling off the win over McNeese State. St. Mary's, Mississippi State. I got to go with St. Mary's. Baylor, I think, beats Toledo. Give me a 10/7. Just have at least one upset in this region, with Seton Hall beating Utah State, and then Arizona beats Montana State. All right, for this region, we got not a lot of upsets, but hopefully we could change it here. UConn, I think, will beat Longwood. Give me Nebraska to beat Texas. South Carolina, I think, will hold off Grand Canyon, although Grand Canyon I believe in as a Big 12 seed. Don't have them winning there, though. Then I like Samford pulling off the 13/4. Kansas is just reassuring my doubts in them, getting crushed by who was it? Cincinnati last night. I mean, I just don't know about Kansas at this point, and that's just something that we usually don't say. I know Hunter Dickinson was out, but I just don't believe in them. You know, Hunter Dickinson's going to be resting for all this time. I think Samford will be prepared. I know it's a Bill Self-led squad, but at this point in time, I'm just not a believer in Kansas. I think they will fall early in the NCAA tournament, especially against a solid Samford team out of the Southern Conference. Oh, I also forgot to mention, before we go any further, we got to give our shout-outs to the teams that clinched their tournaments yesterday and punched their tickets. That was 2 teams, McNeese State and Colgate. We already went through McNeese State. Colgate, we will be coming up shortly, but congratulations to those teams. Anyway, I do have Samford pulling off that upset. Then I'm going to go with another upset here. The ACC team, I think, falls to Indiana State. Out of the first 4, give me Indiana. Then I do like Kentucky to hold off Morehead State. Gonzaga, Oklahoma. Give me Gonzaga, and then North Carolina, I think, beats Colgate. All right, Houston versus South Dakota State. Give me Houston. Northwestern, I think, would beat Colorado State. Give me the 12/5 here. Princeton beats San Diego State. Usually I don't pull off Princeton to beat or San Diego State to lose in the first round. I think they're a very solid team heading into the NCAA tournament. But Princeton, they are a red-hot team. I want to give them some respect, so give me Princeton to move on. Then I am going to give respect to Alabama with them pulling off the win over UC Irvine. Colorado, I think, beats Wisconsin. That's 3 11/6s. I like these matchups for the 11 seeds. Give me Colorado. I do like Duke to beat a very solid Vermont team. Texas Tech, Drake, 7/10. I am going to go with Drake. Texas Tech's got a big game against my BYU Cougars today as well. And then Creighton, I think, beats Sam Houston. Okay. For a spot In the Sweet 16, give me Purdue to beat Boise State. Another really good matchup, Nevada, Auburn. I do have to go with Auburn, though. And then I do like Iowa State to beat James Madison. Marquette, I think, will fall to Florida. Just going to continue to keep it evident that I'm just not the biggest believer in Marquette at this point. We'll see if they prove me wrong in the Big East tournament. With their game today against... No, Villanova's playing Marquette, right? Yeah. So, yeah, they got a big game versus Marquette, versus Villanova. All right, Tennessee, TCU. I do like Tennessee. Give me BYU to beat Illinois. Baylor, I think, would beat St. Mary's. And then Arizona, I think, would hold off Seton Hall in that game. All right. UConn, Nebraska. Give me UConn. As much as I want to go with Samford, I got to go with 5 seed South Carolina. Give me Kentucky to beat Indiana State and North Carolina to beat Gonzaga. All right, final region, Houston versus Northwestern. Give me Houston. And I'm going to go with a 12/4 here. Princeton moves on to the Sweet 16, beating Alabama. Whoops, sorry. Dropped my phone on it for whatever reason. But yeah, I am going with Princeton. Duke, Colorado. 11 versus a 3. Let's just have some fun with this bracketology. Give me Colorado to upset Duke. And then I like Creighton to beat Drake. So we are going to go with an 11 seed in Colorado, moving on past the Blue Devils. Okay, Sweet 16 time, Purdue, Auburn. I am going to go with Purdue in this matchup. And then I like Iowa State to beat Florida in that game. All right, Tennessee, BYU. Let's give my Cougars some love. Go with a 5/1. Still a big believer in Tennessee, but I am also a major believer in BYU that I think we can make a deep run in the tournament. Give me BYU. Finishing it off, Baylor, Arizona, 3 versus a 2. I do like Baylor in that game as a 3 seed. So we got a Big 12 matchup right there. All right, UConn, South Carolina. I got to go with Connecticut. And then I got to go with North Carolina to beat Kentucky in that game. But obviously we keep continuing to see those two match up. That'll be a great matchup if we see it. All right, Houston versus Princeton. Give me the 1 seed Houston. And then I do like Creighton to end Colorado's run. So, our Elite 8 here. Purdue, Iowa State. Give me Iowa State, the 3 seed, advancing on. I'm going to give my love to Iowa State here. Then BYU, Baylor. I'm going to go with another upset. The Cougars, we just beat Baylor earlier this year. Big time believer in Baylor, but I am going to go with my 5-seeded BYU to move on to the Final Four. And then we got UConn versus North Carolina. I do have UConn winning that one, continuing to be dominant in the Big East. And then Houston, Creighton, 1 versus a 2. Let's go with Houston, the 1 seed, advancing on. So our Final Four is 3 seed Iowa State, 5 seeded BYU, 1 seed UConn, 1 seed Houston, 3 Big 12 teams in this edition of the Final Four. But BYU, Iowa State, these two just met like a week ago. Iowa State just barely won. I'm going to switch it up, though. I'm going to ride the table with my BYU Cougars, advancing on to the national championship game where they will meet UConn, the Huskies, beating Houston, the defending champions here, trying to go back-to-back. BYU, UConn for the national championship. I gotta give it to UConn. I was really debating there just for having it for fun, going with BYU. But just I can't see my Cougars the way we can play at times beating this good of a UConn team. So I gotta go with UConn, but I would be cheering till I die for my Cougars to win. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching this video today. It was a little bit of a crazy bracketology, but I love coming out with these for you guys. Comment down below your predictions. Anyway, guys, peace out.